We are back with another weekly Forex forecast, traders. I hope everybody had a great trading week, and let's get prepared for this upcoming week. As far as the DXY goes, I feel like I've been talking about this weekly zone for so long, down at about 97 right here. But more importantly, this monthly demand in control, these dotted lines, that represents a monthly demand. So that's why I've been pretty bullish on the dollar since this monthly demand and weekly demand were in control. Obviously, we have seen some downturns in the DXY, and there have been times where we were bearish as a group, but ultimately we were expecting more bullish price action on the DXY, at least to up to this weekly supply at about 103.06, because of the fact that we have this monthly demand in control. Monthly demand is stronger than any time frame that is lower than it. So that is why we are expecting to see more pressure to the upside here on the DXY. So looking at the lower time frames, the daily chart, we really have nothing to go off of. It's really sideways here. Even as we push down, the demand was already tested. So the only reason we were bullish based on this time frame was just because we were sitting at the lows rather than at the highs. But you can see we have clear resistance above that we could be targeting as in liquidity up there. So I think that's where we're most likely headed on the DXY. And I was telling the members this past week, we got this massive push to the downside right here. As soon as we got this massive push to the downside, I'm sure a lot of people were probably pretty bearish the dollar, right? Due to the fact that we clearly broke this upward momentum here, whatever you want to call that. I don't call that a trend, I call that momentum. But just because we broke down here, it didn't, like, to me, I was telling members, we're still bullish on the dollar. And why is that? Why am I bullish on the dollar? Well, combined with two factors, because the fact that we have a monthly demand in control, and then on the 4-hour time frame, we had a 4-hour trend line that was still being respected. So yeah, we did see a downturn, wherever that was, here or there, I forget. But we had a significant downturn in the dollar, but the overall 4-hour trend line was still being respected, guys. So based off of those two conditions, that is why I was expecting to see more dollar strength to end the week. And going back to a 1-hour chart, you can see our trend line here is attached from here to here. This is a reaction off of our trend line. Trend lines are extremely important. Not only are my supply and demand zones pretty accurate, as you can see, going back and watching, the past weekly Forex forecasts, but my trend lines are very accurate as well. So nice reaction off of that trend line. The next thing we are looking to see is simply a break of this high, which will give us even more strength. But as long as this 1-hour trend line is holding, guys, we could expect to see the dollar to continue to go up. And even if this 1-hour trend line breaks, that could be a bearish sign. However, until this 4-hour trend line breaks, we could expect to see nothing but strength here in the DXY. All right, moving on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. Daily chart is quite interesting as we have our pretty good daily demand down below at 1.14. Now, this purple box represents support to me. So in my opinion, this was a great example of liquidity here. So I think we could target that liquidity and then react off of this daily demand. So the reason I'm showing you this is because if you are short from the euro right now, or if you plan on getting in short, profit margin is really down to about 1.146. It's really that simple. Targeting that potential liquidity, I think, is very, very possible here on the Euro US dollar. Let's take a look at the lower time frame to see what is taking place. Just like the opposite of the DXY, we have a beautiful 4-hour downward trend line. So what I will say is, as long as this downward trend line is holding, I think looking for shorts on a 15-minute time frame would make total sense to me. The only issue I am seeing with that right now is if we do a channel view, which is a tool I've been using a lot lately, we're sitting basically in the lower 50% of that channel. So I think being patient and waiting for a pullback up to the upper end of the channel and then looking for 15-minute time frame shorts, I think that could be well worth it, in my opinion, just to be a little bit more patient there and wait for a pullback before looking for shorts on the day trading time frames. As far as a 1-hour chart goes here, beautiful trend line to the downside as well. All the members were pointing out this zone today. It wasn't a zone to me based off of my chain analysis, but you can see we actually got a great move off of it. So that's one I missed, but it didn't follow my rules, so I simply just did not take that setup. But I know, pretty sure a couple of the members got involved in that one, so congrats to them. And then same thing here. As long as this 1-hour trend line's holding, guys, 15-minute time frame shorts, or sorry, 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be good. And let's say we break this trend line and there's a demand zone there. We're still going to be pretty bearish on the euro based off of the DXY macro charts I was showing you guys on the monthly time frame. So if we get a demand zone here, you can trade it. It's just we got to be very aggressive with trade management. And what I would prefer to be doing is waiting for that demand to be removed, hopefully leaving us with a supply zone to get another leg down. So as far as the euro US dollar goes, I'm not really seeing any supply or demand zones right now that are fresh. All we have to go off of is the 4-hour and the 1-hour trend line, which as long as it's holding, like I said, 15 and 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be good. Alrighty, onto the forecast for gold. Absolutely crazy markets on gold here as we continue to push to all-time highs. I'm expecting to see a downturn in gold, maybe pushing below 3,500 to these dotted lines here, which is a monthly demand. And that would be a very healthy looking pullback. And I personally welcome it. I'm really not scared of a pullback on gold like that. I would absolutely love that potential pullback. As far as gold goes now, if we look on the daily chart, you can see on this daily time frame here, beautiful trend line being respected. And if you go back and you watch my previous weekly forecast, I pointed out this demand zone setup right there. As you can see on the screen, this is from many forecasts ago. You can go back and confirm that for yourself. I'm pointing out these trades before they take place. We have a new trend line on the daily chart, which is great. I love a nice, consistent looking trend line like this. In my opinion, this is going to sustain price. I think we could see a lot more bullish price action on gold as long as this trend line is being respected, guys. So I'd love to see it. It's definitely a bullish sign when we have a trend line like this. So in my opinion, it is longs all the way. On the 1-hour chart, we already wicked into our 1-hour demand zone. Any of the members can talk about this 1-hour zone as I was pointing that out in the Diamond membership. Hopefully the members are in the comments down below. Let me know. But I pointed out this 1-hour zone, and we got a bigger move out of it than I expected. And I personally think, well, that was a nice trade, but I personally think we could even pull back to maybe this 4-hour area of demand down below here. I think that's the better demand zone at 45.21. Kind of a weird zone, but that's how I'm going to draw it. I think that's where we could see the bigger move, in my opinion, off of the 4-hour chart. And the trend line is still being respected as well. So as long as this trend line's holding, guys, 15-minute time frame longs are definitely going to be good here on gold. So pullback entry long to that 4-hour demand could be worth it. Trend lines are very sustainable here. And look, even if we get a deeper pullback, we have a beautiful 4-hour demand sitting down below at 42.37. It's kind of old now though. So if we do get a pullback down here, I would like to see another reaction off of this support, showing me that there are stop losses here right into our demand zone where we can hop on a potential buy opportunity. So couple zones here on the 4-hour chart, nice trend line that could sustain day trading longs as well. So it's really longs all the way here on gold. So far, beautiful move off of our 1-hour zone that was called out ahead of time. And we'll have to see what happens here in gold to see if we can get maybe a deeper pullback down to the 4-hour demand or even the demand that is much lower. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the S&P 500. The daily chart's pretty interesting. I usually only have one trend line on one time frame at all times. However, this is one of those times where we actually have two trend lines here. Usually this will be some sort of weekly trend line when it's that old, or sorry, that long, if you know what I mean. But in this instance, we don't have a weekly trend line based on my rules. So that's why I have two. I have a trend line from here to here, and then the overall trend line from here to here. So if we zoom into this nearest trend line, it's getting very aggressive. It's very steep. It's a very steep trend line. So that's why we are seeing this being played out where it's tested right now. And we currently are testing it. We tested it once here. Second test, we could actually expect to see this thing break. It's getting very aggressive trend line, and that's why I think we could fake out. But don't get worried, because I think that this trend line will actually still hold up price. If we throw a channel tool on it, just for the sake of it, let's see where we are at. So let me just properly draw my channel here. Boom. To the upper end, just roughly, and we are sitting at the 50% mark of this channel right now. So that's why I think even if we do push lower, we could still see price shoot off to the upside here, in my opinion, as long as that daily trend line is being respected on the daily time frame. As far as the lower time frames go, there's really nothing to go off of. The 1-hour chart, just a lot of sideways price action, a lot of indecision right now. We pointed out this 4-hour demand zone trade before it took place last week. and that trade has already taken place, and then we removed the demand, and we didn't really get any supply that removed the demand. So it's kind of unfortunate, because I always like when there's an opposing supply above that we can see removed for a potential long trade. But we didn't get that in this situation. But that's fine, because even if we do get that pullback, like I said we could see, based off of the steepness of the daily trend line, we have a pretty good 4-hour demand zone down below at 68.11. It's kind of an older zone, so I would like to see another reaction off of this support area, showing their stop losses here, right into our demand zone, where we get a nice long opportunity. So that will be our nearest 4-hour zone, and that's really the only setup that I'm seeing right now. If we can remove this all-time high right here, then we'll have trend lines that can be used for day trading long. But I'm just not seeing anything like that right now. We are way too sideways, it's just too sideways. We're ranging right now, right here. So there's really nothing to go off of unless we get a pullback down the demand, or unless we break the high, giving us a trend. It's pretty much no trades right now on the S&P 500. We just got to be a little bit patient, wait for some zones and wait for some trends, and I think it'd be much, much worth it. Moving on to the forecast for the USDJPY, we pierced above our resistance area, targeting some liquidity here. I think we could still see price shoot up here on the USDJPY, as we have barely really reached this liquidity at all. We could definitely continue to push up on the yen, and we have a daily trend line here that's a pretty sustainable trend line. Definitely nothing like this very aggressive one here. It's more sustainable than that last one. Still a little aggressive though, but at the end of the day, it could be holding up price. So in my opinion, it's pretty, all signs are pointing to the upside here on the yen, which is why I was pointing out this 1-hour demand zone setup, as you can see right here, and we caught that one from the daily market breakdown video. Now, we didn't get the biggest move we were looking for. We couldn't target that high, and sometimes that sucks. Sometimes, I'm sure some of the members got involved in this trade, put their stop at break even, hoping for a bigger move, and then got stopped out at break even, and that can be very, very frustrating. So if you guys need help with your trading psychology, check out the Stoic Trading Psychology podcast. I do these podcasts whenever I can. It seemed to has helped a lot of people with their trading psychology in situations like this. If you don't get the move you wanted, if you get stopped out at break even, it can be very frustrating. So make sure you listen to my podcast. If you guys get the chance, you guys will definitely love it. So as far as the yen goes right now, we have a 1-hour downward trend line. So again, I'm pretty bullish on the yen, but we cannot deny the strength of this 1-hour downward trend line. So as long as this downward trend line is holding, 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be good, guys. It's really that simple. The only issue is that it's against a daily trend. So what that means is we have to be very aggressive with trade management if you do decide to short. As far as the channel tool goes, we are at a pretty decent point to look for shorts still on a 5-minute chart. So it's not like we're sitting down here and we're waiting for, this part of the channel. We are right at that good point. So as long as this trend line's holding, guys, 5-minute time frame shorts are going to be pretty damn good right now on the USDJPY on the 1-hour time frame. As far as zones go, I'm really not seeing a whole lot. And as far as how much profit margin we have, you can pretty much do this on the 4-hour chart. Not my favorite trend line, as we got very overextended here. But if we do really pull back in here, then we might want to lock in profits off of our shorts, because then this trend line might start to kick in again and continue to rally. So we are more bullish on the yen, guys. We just have to be cautious with how much profit we're going with the 5-minute time frame shorts. Like I said, as long as this 1-hour trend line's holding. And since we have a daily trend, and since we have potential liquidity to target on the weekly chart, going back to the 1-hour time frame, if we push up and we break this trend line, any 1-hour demand zone there is going to be a very nice trading opportunity. It's really that simple. So as a swing trader, I'm not a day trader, so I simply won't be shorting this downward trend line like I've been telling you guys that we could do. As a swing trader, and as somebody who is more bullish on the yen, this is the move I would be waiting for. Breaking this 1-hour downward trend, that could just be a temporary downward trend line and an overall daily trend, and then waiting for a nice demand zone to be formed and hopping on that potential trade. Alrighty, moving on to the forecast for the GBPUSD 4 chart layout here first, and then I will zoom in. You can see on my 4-hour chart and my 1-hour chart, we have 2 downward trend lines and trends. And the reason I want to show you the 4-hour chart, because I wanted to show you, or the whole chart, is show you these downward trends. Where are we trending into? Well, if you look at the daily chart, let's take a look at where we are trending to. In my opinion, we are most likely trending down to this daily demand at 1.32. Are we going to get there? That's kind of the big question right now. That is the most blatant demand zone out of all of these here, in my opinion. So if we do get a pullback down that demand, I think that's where we could see a move off of. So all shorts, profit margin is down to this daily demand, in my opinion. Long term, it doesn't mean you don't want to hold all the way to the daily demand. You definitely want to maybe take some profits on the way. I'm just saying, as soon as if you are holding a short trade, if we hit this demand, guys, you know, you're probably going to want to lock in some profits and look to take profit, because in my opinion, I think we definitely could see a reaction off of that demand zone on the British pound. So as far as trading the pound goes now, we're going to stick to the 4-hour chart because it's the most clean in my opinion. And it's really simple. It's like the kind of the theme of this entire video. Not a lot of zones being formed this week, guys. It's kind of the reality. But we have a nice 4-hour downward trend that's in control. We are sitting pretty much right at the 50% mark, so it's not a bad time to look for shorts on a 15-minute time frame. So unfortunately, no zones. I don't force zones. Sure, I could probably draw a zone here and draw a zone there, but I have my chain analysis, which is what we discuss in the Diamond membership, and I just don't have any zones based off of that. And that chain analysis like I do, that is my trading edge in my opinion. So I just don't have a zone. So at the end of the day trading shorts are good here. If we get new zones, we'll have new zones. Right now, I'm not seeing any new zones, but all I see, nice 4-hour trend line, nice 1-hour trend line, potentially pulling back down to the daily demand. So you definitely want to hop on those trends, in my opinion, on the day trading timeframes. Already onto the forecast for the USDCAD. On the weekly time frame, we are clearly headed up here. So you can see we are most likely headed to this weekly supply, where I think we could probably see a reaction off of it, in my opinion here, on the USDCAD. So all longs, which I'm going to point out a couple setups here in a minute, all longs profit margin is to this 4-hour supply 1.39, or sorry, the weekly supply 1.398. So we still have a little bit of room. I'm not saying that this weekly supply is going to be responsible for a move like this, but it definitely is a place where we're most likely going to hesitate, just based off of my experience. That's what I think we could be seeing. So on the 1-hour chart, we had a little 1-hour supply zone here, and I was actually pointing out this 1-hour supply zone in the daily market breakdown video, and Tim took this trade. One of our members, Tim, took this little 1-hour setup here, and I was telling you guys, quick profit margin could be good here. Or quick take profit rather, could be good here based off of the higher time frame forces in play. And we did just that. So nice little trade there. Congrats to Tim, one of the members there. Beautiful setup. And now I forgot to draw a trend line here. We have a new 4-hour trend line. If I can just get my drawing tool out. Sorry, a new 1-hour trend line. I'm all over the place today. So a very new 1-hour trend line here that is in control. And as long as that's holding, we could expect price to really go up. And on the 4-hour chart, it's pretty interesting in my opinion. So we have clear liquidity up above, and we got one reaction off of it. So I think that we definitely could see a move off this 4-hour supply above. And not only that, it's pretty much right at that weekly supply as well. So it's kind of a level inside of a level, how I view things. And we actually have a 4-hour trend line as well. Or sorry, 4-hour trend. I'm not going to draw a trend line. We don't have one. So at this point, this would be our 4-hour supply zone for a short trade on the USDCAD. It's really that simple. And you really could be targeting this 4-hour demand zone down below, which we can then maybe get a long trade. The issue with this long trade is if we do hit this supply first, that means the weekly supply is in control, which makes this 4-hour demand zone trade lower odds. But it doesn't mean we have to ignore it. We could just hit the zone, trade it, look for a quick take profit, or moving your stop to break even as soon as possible, looking for a quick trade. Where this 4-hour supply, I think we actually could see a bigger move off of it. It could be worth holding longer than at this demand zone. So I used to get hate comments all the time. Oh, you just point out longs and shorts. Well, yeah, because throughout a week, we could literally react off the supply, get a short trade, react to demand, get a long trade. So yeah, I will point out both sides of the equation, and I just manage my trades differently. I'll be doing a whole video on this in the future, in the next month or so, on set and forget trading. This, we could see a bigger move. This, we could see a smaller move. So if I do decide to trade at this demand zone long, I'll be looking for aggressive trade management. And sometimes I take these aggressive trade management trades, move my stop to break even, and price keeps going. And then I bump my stop, and I get a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 trade out of something I was only looking for a 1-to-1 out of. And then sometimes I'm looking for a bigger move out of a trade like this, and you only get a 1-to-1 move, or you get break even. And that's just a reality of trading. Nothing is exactly how it is. Anybody who tells you otherwise is completely lying. So a couple nice 4-hour zones here on the USDCAD. Hopefully everything I said about the higher time frames makes sense. And remember, guys, any questions at all, do not hesitate to ask. I will respond to literally every single comment. You can go back and check that as well. I respond to every single comment. On to the forecast for the Aussie US dollar. Look at this daily trend line. What do you notice about this daily trend line? It's not like super sustainable like this. It is straight up. So that's why, in my opinion, we broke this trend line. This, to me, it could be just a fake out. And something I like to do in this fake out is mark out the low after the fake out right there. So if this low holds, to me, it's most likely was just a trend line fake out, but if you break it, it could definitely mean more bearishness to come. But just since the trend line was so aggressive, fake outs are most likely to happen here. If you go back and watch my analysis on the USDJPY, it was basically the exact same trend line and the exact same thing happened where we ended up pushing back up. So it's something we could see potential fake out here on the Aussie US dollar. And then on the 1 hour chart here, look at this chart. This is just not tradable in my opinion. As far as this time frame goes, there's just nothing going on here. Even the 1 hour supply over here, it's just kind of old and I don't know, it doesn't really stand out to me. So terrible looking 1 hour chart. But on the 4 hour chart, we've absolutely been killing it here. On this 4 hour supply, I don't know if anybody remembers, I called out this supply in last week's weekly Forex forecast on YouTube. As you can see on the screen right now. So that's a great reason to hit that subscribe button, in my opinion. Called out this 4 hour supply, beautiful trade off of the supply zone. We haven't really targeted the low yet, but beautiful setup off of that 4 hour supply. Not only did we catch that move, if you go down to a 15-minute chart, in the daily market breakdown video, I pointed out this 15-minute supply zone right there. And we got a beautiful, I don't day trade, but the members potentially got a beautiful 15-minute supply zone trade from that 4 hour demand zone trade. So basically this was confirmation up here, 4 hour supply and control, 15-minute supply zone right here. Called out ahead of time in the daily market breakdown video, which you can see on the screen right now. This beautiful day trading setup, picture perfect. If you just get rid of the circle there, you can see, let me just show you guys here, a beautiful base drop supply. Single candle basing, not even noticeable, but those are some of our most powerful zones. Beautiful day trade, and look, it was respected several times. Not only once, twice, 3 times. So clearly a lot of supply there. Called it ahead of time in the daily market breakdown video, which are basically this forecast like I'm doing now, but every day for the Diamond members. If you want to trade alongside myself and the members, join the Diamond membership, where you will have access to the 38-page supply and demand zone PDF, which will be your complete trading guide, the daily market breakdown videos, which are forecasts that I release every single night for the members to trade alongside myself, step-by-step video lessons A to Z covering everything you need to know on supply and demand trading, the Sunday strategy Zoom session where members submit homework, and it's an interactive 1 hour call where we go over all of your homework and every trading related question, private access to myself inside of our private Discord group where I answer all of your trading related questions, and finally the Sunday live stream forecast where we break down over 30 markets together. And it's not just me. Here are some of the members and some of their trades they've been taking lately, absolutely killing it. And we also have some amazing reviews from some of the past members sharing their experience within the group. So if you're ready to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership today. Links in the description down below. So as far as trading the Aussie US dollar goes now, these trades have already taken place last week and then midweek in that day trade. So unfortunately, I don't really see a whole lot going on right now, but what I will say is this is a very proven supply zone above. So if we remove that supply, any demand there is going to be a nice trading opportunity. So that's something I'll be watching out for. Another thing you could be watching out for is to see if this low can be removed. If this low can be removed, we will have a 4 hour downward trend line. And then basically you could be looking at this 4 hour downward trend line to day trade short on a 15-minute time frame. But until then, until that low is removed or until this supply is removed, I'm just not seeing anything on the Aussie US dollar right now. The trades have already taken place this past week. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USD Swiss, and come say hi to me on Instagram at FX Telepath. Send me a message, say, what's up, Kev? Appreciate the forecast. Whatever you want to do, come say hi. I will say hi back. As far as a 1 hour chart goes here, usually we do a top-down approach. I'm going to do a bottom-up approach here in this situation, and you'll see why in a minute. So another great example of our trend line from here to here, and that's a reaction off of our trend line. Perfectly drawn trend line, perfect reaction off of it. and again, we usually do a top-down. We're doing a bottom up here because I want to show you the profit margin, the issue we're having. So I will say, as long as this 1 hour trend line's holding, 5-minute time frame longs are going to be good. And as long as this 4 hour trend line is holding, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good. Almost 2 reactions off of our trend line there as well. And again, longs are going to be good due to the trends. The only issue is that we are coming up to this daily supply right here. So we are very tight on profit margin. There's really only that much. If you were doing it down here, there's tons of profit margin. So you can still get in long even though we're at the supply here. We're very close. It's different if we were actually at the supply. There still is a little bit of room left. And the reason, you know, it's a little bit risky is these higher time frame zones really have a lot of force to them. You can see many reactions off of our zone from over here. So a reaction off the supply is very probable. Sure, it could happen where price just blasts off, but that's very, very rare. It could happen, but it's more rare. We have to kind of go with the norm, not the whatever you call it, the exaggerations or whatever you call it. So a little bit of profit margin left. As soon if you are long on the USD Swiss on the day trading timeframes, like I was saying with those trend lines, that's fine. We just have to be aware of this supply. So it's not like if you are going to get in long, guys, I wouldn't be looking for a 10-to-1, 5-to-1 move. You know, I'd be looking to put my stop to break even as soon as I can if we get a leg up and kind of just ride the wave until we hit that daily supply where we can then maybe even switch to a short trade. And once this daily supply gets hit, what we want to do is go down to this 1 hour chart. So let's say this is our daily supply above. Let's say that's the proximal line, the daily supply. Boom, we hit the supply. At that point, once the supply's hit, now I'm going to be bearish. And if we remove this trend line here, any supply zone, that's going to be our confirmation trading setup. So that's what I would be doing as a swing trader once we hit the daily supply. Alrighty, on the forecast for crude oil, we targeted liquidity here and we immediately shot back up, but that's a very bearish sign here. This, I forget what you call that, an inverse hammer or something. I don't know. I don't use candle patterns, but it's definitely a bearish sign here as we wicked above and then push right back down. And I kind of expected this to take place for basically one reason, because we haven't really fully targeted this liquidity. I think we could easily push down the next couple weeks, target the demand and target the liquidity. This demand is located at about 54, a little bit, yeah, it's about at 54 right here. Beautiful weekly demand, and in my opinion, I think it's a great opportunity to look for swing trades. I'm not saying I'm going to buy this demand zone, but what I will be doing is looking for longs on an H4 or an H1 when this demand is hit, if it is hit. That's what I will be doing. So we could expect to see more weakness here on crude oil. We did break this daily upper trend line, sorry, downward trend line. But look, to me, this looks like some sort of manipulation here. Nothing really to go off of on the daily chart. Just kind of wanted to show you guys that potential manipulation there. So at this point, it's difficult to trade the crude oil chart. I'm really not seeing a whole lot, if I'm being quite honest with you guys. On the 4-hour chart, it just looks like manipulation to me. We do have a 4-hour demand zone down below. It's not bad. I like the initial move away. I like that it removed one of our supply zones from back here that we also called out in the daily market breakdown videos. But at this point, I don't know if I want to be trading this demand zone. If you want to trade this demand zone, I think it could be reasonable, but aggressive trade management will be needed based on the fact that I think we will be targeting the liquidity that's down below. So again, just because price is going to do this doesn't mean we won't see a small move off of it where we can make a little bit of money in that move, stop to break even, stop up here, and then get stopped out for a profit or stopped out at break even. It could be worth a stab in my opinion. It is a nice rally-based rally. I just don't like this price action here right after the zone was formed. It's really not my favorite. So we pretty much have two options. Longs at this demand zone if you want to get aggressive. Aggressive trade management is necessary as well. And then the other option is what I'd rather be doing is waiting for this demand to be removed, and any 4-hour supply zone there is going to be a nice trading opportunity with a clear profit target below at that weekly demand like I was just showing you guys. Alrighty, onto the forecast for Bitcoin. Last but not least, this is one of the ones I added in late 2025. So if you guys appreciate me adding this market in, let me know in the comments down below. I always like to see your guys' comments. As far as the weekly time frame goes, I was expecting price to pull back down to weekly demand at 71,000 to target this liquidity. And I still think we could go there. It could just be that we are going to react off this weekly supply first, then push down, and then react up. So that is maybe the move we could be seeing here over the next couple of months on Bitcoin. And the reality is we were stuck between weekly supply and weekly demand. And when we have that, where are we going, right? The direction is very difficult to understand, but something has taken place this last week, which is this. On the daily chart, we now have a daily upward trend line, and that is a very, very bullish sign. Now, I have seen it many times where we create a trend line and then it breaks immediately. So that's something to consider, but we cannot deny the strength we have seen in Bitcoin. Channel view shows we are sitting right above the 50% mark. So it could be one of those times where we do maybe retrace a little bit lower and then react to the upside. So it's something to consider here. But all in all, great daily trend line here, looking very bullish here on Bitcoin. So how do we go about and trade Bitcoin now? Well, for people who've been following my forecast, you guys know we called out this supply zone here. Beautiful setup from a couple weeks ago. Hoping some of you guys got involved in that trade there. And the reason I'm pointing that out is because that zone was removed by this demand. This demand is very sketchy. It wasn't really that sketchy until we did this. We literally almost hit it twice. So I don't love when we do this. I don't mind getting some sort of liquidity before the zone. Usually I like that to be like up here. This is very close. This is borderline tested in my opinion. So I am pretty nervous about this 4-hour zone. It could still be worth it in my opinion. I just think we could see maybe a deeper pullback into the zone. But at 94,201, we have a great 4-hour demand zone here. And the fact that we have a daily trend line now, which is showing us where we might be headed on the weekly chart, is telling me that this is a pretty good 4-hour zone for a potential long trade. And if you don't feel comfortable due to these wicks here, that's reasonable. If you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, stop, and take profit, what you want to be doing is waiting for the zone to be hit, looking for confirmation longs on a 15-minute time frame. I did a full course in 2025 on confirmation trading that I think you guys should watch, showing exactly what I would do inside this 4-hour zone. So at the end of the day here, very, very bullish price action on Bitcoin. Clear target above to the weekly supply at about 105,000. So that's where I think we could be headed, guys. 4-hour demand zone for potential pullback. Looking pretty bullish here on Bitcoin. If you guys want access to my full-length forecast, join the Diamond membership where you will have access to that as well as my daily market forecast, the full course supply and demand PDF, and much, much more. Make sure you guys subscribe so you can catch next week's forecast as well. And I always appreciate a like. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.